The next title is collaborative project to research causes of disease of Seabuckthorn and develop method of cultivation against it. It's quite similar to the previous presentation, and it will be presented by Dr. Daniela Kuptz. She works at Mecklenburg-Vorpommern Research Center for Agriculture and Fisheries, the Center of Horticultural Crop Production. She is involved in the joint research project of causal investigation of Seabuckthorn dieback and development of, let's say, countermeasures. Daniela, we are worried about the mass dieback of Seabuckthorn in Germany, hoping it is not a pandemic. Please calm us down. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I try to give my presentation free. This works. Can you see?
Yeah. Yes, everything fine, yeah.
Is it already in the presentation modus? Don't think so.
Oh, it is in the
no. Now.
Now it is perfect.
Now
yes.
it is.
It's full screen?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
That's great. Thank you very much. I'm really glad to be part of this meeting. I'd like to introduce my colleagues, Kai-Uwe Katroshan and Frank Hippauf, and as well Friedrich Höhne, who was doing a lot of research before. So we doing our research on his foundation. He was very busy before, so thank you to Friedrich Höhne as well, who is listening today. Now, our joint research project is divided into 3 parts. One is Mecklenburg-Vorpommern Research Center of Agriculture and Fishery, and we are based in the Center of Horticulture and Crop Production, and we like to research the abiotic factors of Seabuckthorn. I don't get further on now because my PC, no. The role of abiotic factors in crop vitality of Seabuckthorn. That's what we are doing. Then there is the State Office for Agriculture, and my colleague Jenny Scheel is doing plant protection. And her task is the monitoring of the wild habitats along the coastline. And she's also doing evaluation of plant protection measures. The third part of our project is situated in the south of Germany. It's the Federal Research Center of Cultivated Plants in the Institute for Plant Protection in Fruit Crops and Viticulture in Dossenheim. And Caroline Popp is doing identification of pathogens. Now here you see the map of Germany, and the 3 dots are our sites where we are working. The yellow dots show the different companies we are working with as well. And Jenny and me, we are doing interviews with all the people from the orchards to find out how they do the cultivation of Seabuckthorn. In the background, you see Jenny and a very huge male Seabuckthorn we discovered in an orchard near our site. Typical symptoms of the Seabuckthorn dieback we found in our fields are mostly changing in the bark, orange dots, or even smoothie areas. And if you cut through the wood, you can see also dark areas. And very typical is as well that the berries dry before they get ripe. On this map, you can see the wild habitats along the German coastline of the Baltic Sea, and this is a control of 2018, and you see a lot of green, little sites, but also some already dead habitats. If we go further on to this year, you can see there are a lot of more dead ones and only one green one left. For further information, you can contact Jenny Schill. And now I want to show you the poster of Caroline Popp. She is doing the analysis of the pathogens, and she was really very busy this year. But yet we couldn't discover any pathogen that is really killing the plant. They are all make them weak, but not really definitely causing the dieback. So we are still in progress. This poster was presented at the meeting of I didn't translate. The meeting of plant protection. Okay, and Caroline wrote also some abstract you can get from her if you're interested. Now I'd like to introduce our work in Gülzow. We are doing different trails. The first one I will talk about today is irrigation trail in the field, and I also give a short impression of our fertilizer trail and as well a variety trail in Ludwigslust. This is in Nordschart where Seabuckthorn is grown and cultivated. And finally, I show some pictures of aerial photography we are doing together with Mr. Roach from the Berlin University. Our research question is, how do different irrigation intensities affect growth, yield and yields of Seabuckthorn? And we choose the German breed Habego. During the season, we collected soil moisture tension, amount of irrigation, rainfall, and weather data. And at the harvest, we were getting above ground biomass of wood, leaves, and branches. We were measuring the chlorophyll by spat, and we found out very fresh and dry white, also like other quality parameters. Our irrigation trail is divided in 5 treatments. There's one, of course, without any irrigation. Then we have a very little irrigation with 20 liters per hour, 40 liters per hour, and 60 liters per hour. And this is colored orange because we are scheduling the irrigation on this treatment. And you can see here the picture of a tensiometer. We put them into 3 different depths in 15 centimeters and 30 centimeters and 45 centimeters. And between the 10 and 30 kilopascal, we tried to serve the irrigation. Said with other words, when we had more dryness than 30 kilopascal, we started to water the field. At the same time, all different treatments were watered, but with different amounts of water per event, because we were using different sprinklers. We were planting in 2019, the first plot, and in 2020, the second one. Each block got all 5 treatments. And the males are still in the row. The distance between the plants is 1.5 meters, and the distance between the rows is about 4.5 meters. And this year's harvest was on the plants we planted in 2019. Here you can see some pictures from our harvest. We were going by feet because we couldn't get into the field because we had to put a net over it because there were so many birds that would catch the berries. So we did net over it at the end of August to save the yield, and we cut all plants down to a height of 75 centimeters and put them together in a big box. And then you can see here on the right hand side below, we were cutting them in small pieces. We took the leaves off and then we put the wood with the berries in the black boxes to freeze them in a company nearby. Now coming to the weather data of the site, you can see here the green line shows the rainfall from January to August at our site. And you see the orange line that shows the evapotranspiration. And there's a changing point at the beginning of June where the evapotranspiration is higher than the rainfall. And this is very important that we have to give water. This picture shows the soil moisture in 30 centimeter depths for the treatment of number 4. And you can see at the beginning we had some higher peaks because it was quite difficult to get used to the tensiometers. You have to take care of them nearly daily to get off air bulbs and things like that. So we put some more tensiometers in the soil, and after that we could get a continued moisture between 10 and 30 kilopascal, which was very helpful. And this was the aim of our treatment. So until the harvest at the beginning of September, we got a very constantly moisture in the soil. This picture shows the rainfall. It is the yellow one. The yellow columns are the rainfall. And I added as well the irrigation, so the water we gave into the field. And it shows the period of watering. It begins at the end of May and it ends at the end of August. And as you can see here, with the watering, we could serve nearly sufficient moisture in the soil. And even until the 10th of July, we got over it. The blue line shows the evapotranspiration again. Because there's no detailed description about the watering of Seabuckthorn, so this is very interesting to figure out. Now I'm coming to the yield parameters, and first of all I show you the dates of the vegetative biomass. In the first diagram you can see the annual shots and the leaves, and you can see, at the horizontal X you see the watering amount, and you remember T1 was without any water and T2 was a little bit, and number 4 was our shuttle treatment. So number 5 is the treatment with the most water. And there's a inclining line that there's more biomass as you give more water. The fruiting wood without berries and leaves shows also more kilo per plant by more irrigation. I have to ensure that we have only 6 plants per treatment, so these values are only once from this year, so we have to continue. This is these are the first values, so we hope we get more of them and to can continue this description. Now the berry yield shows pure berries after frosting. Compared to our Greece colleagues, we have very less kilo per plant. We are starting here at about 5 kilo per plant, and the highest level was at about 9 kilos per plant. But I'd like to remind you that this is the first harvest we did. The plants are only 3 years old, so this also could be that the harvest is not that big like in older plants. Yes, I'm happy that we really nearly reached the amount of habego. Habego is described in literature with 9 kilo per plant, and we nearly got this amount of harvest at trail treatment number 4. The weight of 100 berries was not sufficient for me, because in the literature it lies about 50 grams per 100 berries. We didn't reach this, but we can see a slight declining line, so we hope we can figure out in the next years again. The dry matter in percent was contrary to the other lines now. It's going down. And the bricks is shown in this middle diagram. It was the highest in the treatment 2 and was going down with the amount of watering, and the percent of carotenoids was also declining. Now I'd like to come to our pottery trail. It was running about 16 weeks from April to August. We had 2 different soils. One soil was of an infected field where Seabuckthorn is grown, and the second soil was of a field without Seabuckthorn. We were using 3 different types of sulfur fertilizer, and we had Lycora, 1-year-old plants, and in total we had 120 plants in the potteries. The fertilizer application is an amount corresponding to 60 kilos of sulfur per hectare, and we tried to put this 15 centimeters into the soil. This was at the beginning. In April, we were planting them in the greenhouse, and you can see here it's growing quite well. In the summertime, we had already little wood, and it was very important to water nearly daily, because you can see here, this was one morning we had leaves that were rolled in, so the Seabuckthorn was suffering for water, even though we were watering daily. Now I'd like to show you some of the yield parameters we found out from the pottery trail. The total weight of the plant, we did a destructive harvest. We were weighting the total plant, and we were looking for the chlorophyll content in the leaves, and we were counting the Frankia roots. And I show you here the yellow line is always the infected soil where the Seabuckthorn was already died. And the white line shows the soil without any Seabuckthorn before. Both soils without fertilizers show a very low chlorophyll content. The others are all show a higher value. And the soil without Seabuckthorn before show show bigger plants. They were growing better. They were doing a lot of more biomass. And in contrary, the Frankia roots were a lot of more numbers in the soil where the Seabuckthorn was growing before. We have to continue this values. There are a lot of more values, and I'd like to show those for the next time. This is a picture of our aerial photography in Ludwigslust. This is an orchard of Ascola, and it's already a very sad picture because there are only a few healthy plants left. If we look closer, you can see already gray parts that show dead branches beside green branches, and even completely dead plants. At the same site in Ludwigslust, we were planting Hippophaea rhamnoides subspecies fluviatilis, the Alpine varieties that we proved already years before. Friedrich Höhne is doing a lot of research on those varieties, and Frank Hippauf did as well. So we have here numbered the Alpine varieties. They got very different berry size, and the best out of those we put into the field. In each row we put male and female, and always put 2 different varieties into one row. This is a picture of the field this year. They are very small growing because we had a lot of not deers, but smaller ones, a kind of deer with his child, and they were eating a lot of the Seabuckthorn, but they are still alive, and we hope we get them even more bigger than this year in the next year. The weed control is with this transmissible film we put on the ground, and below we have a sprinkler hose lying down. In case it's getting too dry, we can water them. It would be really great if we can discover one variety that is resistant against the Seabuckthorn dieback. This shows a picture of my colleagues. I'd like to introduce them to you because we can't do our work alone. There are a lot of people in our department, and I'm quite thankful that they were helping us to put the net over the field. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Daniela.
There was one question I would like to give to you, or 2 questions from the chat. One was, have you used some culture-specific coefficients for the evapotranspiration? And the second question was, the analyzed berries, if they have been harvested at the same date.
To the second question, no, we didn't harvest the berries at the same date. We were harvesting about 1 week. We started at the 1st of September and we finished at the 6th of September. So it took some time.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
And the first question, I'd like to go back to the folly. The evapotranspiration. I wrote down here a homepage where you can find everything about the evapotranspiration, how to count it and how to discover. This orange line shows the evapotranspiration only of grassland, and it's counted for our weather data. So I put the rainfall into the counter, I put the sun intensity, and I put the wind in, and I was counting it only for grassland. You have to, if you want a special evapotranspiration for your special culture like Seabuckthorn, you have to discover a KC value, and we didn't finish this counting already, but I'd like to inform you further on. So this would be very interesting because you can divide your season into 3 or 4 parts, and then you can count the evapotranspiration of your site with the key factor of your culture, and then you get a more precise value for your irrigation. Was that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
More questions?
Yes, please.
Inside chat, no more question.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you
I
very
have a
much.
question. Hello?
Yeah,
I think a crop, a yield from 5 to 7 kilo fruits in the 3rd year is a very good yield.
Ah, okay.
That
Okay.
means that there are 5 to 10 tons per hectare. It is for the 3rd year, it is very good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Höhne. Yeah, that's a good conclusion. Yes, I wasn't sure. I was only looking for the kilos per plant of Habego.
yes, the figures and numbers from our Greek colleagues, there was a table what Kostas presented, and I think you compared the adult grown plants after 10 years with your 3 years old plants. They had also or only 3 to 5 kilogram per bush in the 3rd year. I also think it's for this short time of life of the plant, good result.
Okay.
It was a very good.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
You are right, Fred.
Well, I would like to ask, what is your overall conclusion about the dieback of Seabuckthorn in Germany in a couple of sentences? What's
Sorry,
your main?
sorry, I
what is
didn't understand.
What is your overall conclusion about the dieback of Seabuckthorn in Germany? Does it continue, and then can you do something about it? And how can you see the future of this problem?
We think that it's a really complex disease, and we try to watch it from really different point of views to get more ideas what it could be about. And our conclusion at our side is it has to do something with the maintenance.
Es hatte keine Platz. Nee, also da habe ich keine Kinder.
the difficult thing is that it's the Seabuckthorn is dying in the wild habitats as well as in the orchards. And one reason we are thinking about as well is that the German varieties are based on the wild habitats in our area, in the northeastern or eastern areas of Germany. So there could be also a whole gain pool and maybe our varieties are very old and are having a luck that they are giving from generation to generation, and that might be also an idea for the dieback, but this is only spoken into the future. We can't give sure conclusions about it now. Our project is running until 23, so we have some more treatments to do.
Okay, thank you.
One question, please. Tell me, please, about last picture. I
Sorry?
have not understand.
Which picture you want to see?
Last picture.
The last picture. Okay, I show you the last picture with the net. This one.
What is it?
Sorry?
What is it?
The question was, what is it? It is a net for against the birds. I remember.
It is a net that is covering our Seabuckthorn against birds. And
Against that, yes.
yes, we put old irrigation lines into the air, into the soil, and then we were pulling over the net. So no birds could get into the orchard.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.